So for a woman to be able to assess like these toxicities that were put on all of us, truthfully, all of us. Ain't none of us immune to the fact that we've learned some toxic shit. But for a woman to be able to look at herself and be like, damn, you know what, I can work on that. You know what I mean? And calm herself down and not project her insecurities onto me.
That to me is one of the sexiest qualities about a woman.
What drives me into a woman sexually? I would have to say, number one, a woman's thighs. From a physical aspect, a woman's thighs. There's something about the way a woman is shaped, depending on her size, be it she's an Amazon or whether she's in the lollipop guild and she's like under 5 feet or something like that. But the way that a woman's waist to waist to hip and then in between the knees, like how that is shaped is something that is definitely a turn on for me. You know what I mean? I love the way they look, and I love the way they look in shorts. But also I would say what drives me into a woman more so anything is a smile, right? And there's various smiles. There's like, you got your innocent smiles, right? You got your innocent smiles that some women have. And then you got your devious smiles, your devilish smiles that women possess, what I'm saying, depending on what is transpiring. But no, it's just something, like I said, I just appreciate that, the attributes of a woman all around. And another thing that I find to be, I would say, drives me to a woman sexually is the way that she thinks. You know what I mean? And how she goes about treating others. Not just myself. I'm not gonna allow a woman to just blatantly disrespect. It's about healthy boundaries. You know what I'm saying? Like again, I'm not gonna talk down to you. So I'm not gonna allow a woman to talk down to me. But how she treats others in her life, how she treats people when she's at like restaurants and places and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like having to, defending yourself is one thing, but just having this attitude of entitlement and shit like that is, it's unattractive. You know what I'm saying? That shit might have been cute when we was in high school or maybe early 20s and stuff like that. But now approaching 40, crazy saying that, right? But approaching 40, you want to think about peace. And how a woman can complement your life and not complicate. You know what I mean? Be able to be assertive. Because all of us should be assertive when we talk to folks about, as far as being clear about the things that we want, and you have the right to ask for whatever you want, but you also have to remember that person has the right to say no. Healthy boundaries. You know what I mean? But just how her mind works, the things that she thinks about. Like if she's into mental health, oh my God, I'm turning the fuck on like crazy. Just because in a society where women are taught that they're never wrong, it's accepted that a woman's never wrong. This statement and all that shit. So a woman won't admit that she's woman won't admit that she's wrong. So for a woman to be able to assess like these toxicities that were put on all of us. Truthfully, all of us. Ain't none of us immune to the fact that we've learned some toxic shit. But for a woman to be able to look at herself and be like, damn, you know what, I can work on that, you know what I mean, and calm herself down and not project her insecurities onto me. That to me is one of the sexiest qualities about a woman. You know what I mean? Like the ability to, like, you could share what's on, like what you're going through, but you don't look for me like to solve that shit. And if you do look for advice, you don't get upset when you hear something that you don't don't want to hear, that type of thing. So the ability to suppress the ego, and we all can learn from that. But like I said, thighs, of course, titties. Like if titties are assessed the right way, ass, these things, like there's a given, but it's a given with like ass and titties and shit like that. But I would say, like, for me, the thighs on a woman is like, it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? It's just everything. The earmuffs. You know what I mean? And they just, again, it's just how they sit. Like sitting on like sitting on like a couch or some shit like that. It almost makes it hard to be like upset at you know what I'm saying, at a woman when she's in that position. Dirty motherfuckers. But you can appreciate it though, and I'm sure women probably feel the same way about men in a sense. Whether it's a beard, whether it's shoulders, whether it's arms, chest, maybe even ass. I don't know what the fuck women fucking look for in a fucking man, but or maybe the way we talk or whatever it is, handle business. Ability to be poised in stressful situations, which is a very, very hard but appreciated quality to have in anyone, for that matter. But that right there, those things right there, they really do, I would say, pull me in. I get intrigued with a woman that is built like such, as far as like how, again, the boy shorts look, or just like I said, the legs. So it's just something about them, and I've mentioned it before. But it's what drives me into a woman, just like, let's say sexually, it's just the ability to find that animal nature within you, right? And trust that you're in I would say a safe position, like a confidential position, where you don't have to worry about anyone doing some immature shit, as in the sense of trying to do something for validation, sharing something with your boys or type shit, which I think is beta as fuck. As far as like telling off what this, like, yeah, being specific about what this woman did, using names and shit like that. Don't get me wrong, like, fellas, you may account of something that you experienced, but don't do that. Like, if somebody like you currently speaking with, you know what I mean, and then you just go and tell that. I don't recommend that. I don't do that shit. I'll take that back. I'm not gonna knock any other brother that do that shit. That's just, it ain't for me. You know what I mean? But being able to like just let yourself be free, it's much appreciated, and I say in many ways, Lord have mercy. But what I'm saying is that it's the mind, and again, that femininity. That's really, let me just be really, really clear. When a woman allows herself to be fully into her feminine essence, that is what draws I say a man like myself into a woman sexually, because you need polarity. So you got your masculine over here, your feminine's over here, and when this shit aligns, it's insane what can happen once that, again, once those energies align. And I'm not just speaking, like I say, for myself, like just again in your own life. Let's just say whenever you think about your situations, whatever you've gone through, where you've been, say, like, yeah, for women. So you know what I'm saying, like you got that you got your, you met, found a man that you found to be like masculine and shit like that. The way that you feel with him, and the same thing on the other end. As a man, when you found a woman that's operating like fully in her feminine energy, man. Like there's like this undying magnetic attraction that just happens, and you know what I'm saying, and that's what heightens, I would say, the intimacy, the I would say the erotica of it all, whatever you want to call it. But that's just something, like the little things, that some may pay attention to, not pay attention to, that will really heighten, I would say, the sexual experience all around. And but those are things, you know what I'm saying? Those things alone, like, so it said like feminine energy, like being like operating in your feminine energy, thighs, the way a woman thinks, you know what I'm saying? Her, her ability to say cross-reference herself and look at herself and, from a mental health lens and be like, this is something I can work on. Even if you're not, again, work in progress. You know what I mean? None of us are perfect. You're not aiming to be perfect. You're aiming to improve. And she doesn't make excuses. You know what I'm saying? She accepts the fact that she's working on herself. She owns up to the fact that she's done something that may have been toxic or whatever, and she pressed forward. That right there is growth. It's showing maturity, because all of us are just doing the best we can. But those are things that I find about a woman that draws me in to her sexually. What's something that makes sense to you that doesn't make sense to others? That my weakness is my strength. And by that, I mean the ability to share your flaws, the ability to share what you've been through. And a lot of times my ego makes me feel like I start to love myself conditionally in my mind, right? But whenever you own it, whenever you own what's going on inside, whenever you own like your fears and all that stuff, and you have the courage to share that, I don't care who you share it with, be a therapist, your friends, somebody that you can trust and confide in, even yourself, you know what I'm saying? Like in the mirror, like accountability mirror, as David Goggins talks about. It makes all the sense in the world to me. And I know that a lot of my peers will say that, you can be kind of hard on yourself and all this other shit. But yeah, for sure. I'm my biggest critic. You know what I'm saying? I got an ego problem just as much as anybody else. And that's where, commonly that sits in, is that. But when I learned, again, from Brene Brown, what's up, girl? One day I'll get to meet my one of my mentors, Brene Brown. But when she explained the fact that you telling your story is your strength, but not everybody is entitled to hear your story. So I mean, for me, with this whole concept of this show is putting yourself on Front Street so that other people have the courage to do the same, so that they can heal. Because you have to heal. I mean, you have to reveal to heal. So in ways, you don't have to go into details, but just more so things that you've gone through from a, I'll say just a surface perspective. I mean, don't get me wrong, I can get into the core of a few things that I've gone through, but out of respect for individuals that we haven't had a conversation just yet, I'll only go but so far. But I mean, for me, because the reason why I say that, my the weakness, what we perceive as my weakness to be a strength, is because a lot of people live in fear. They spend a lot of time criticizing, judging others. But they're hiding their shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't none of us without flaw, without mistakes that were made, things that we're not necessarily proud of. Personally, I get tired of holding shit in. You know what I'm saying? And I can go on if it means that I have to go on in this life by myself in order to be able to have that type of environment where I'm not in fear of being myself. I'm well equipped to do that. I value my alone time more these days than I've ever done in my life, and I would always want to be around people, especially like family. You know what I'm saying? Just always trying to, be the family guy and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Shit you seen on TV, where families do things together. But I also realized that there's toxicity in everyone. You know what I'm saying? Family included, friends. You know what I'm saying? But like, you don't get to choose. You don't get to choose your family. You don't get to choose the family you're born into. But you can choose to tolerate shit. You know what I'm saying? Later, at a later date when you get older and you recognize things, because all of us are doing the best that we could, but there's certain energies that we no longer have to tolerate, and that's from anyone, and I do mean anyone. You know what I mean? Like, you might forget what a person says, but you'll never forget how a person made you feel. So to have, so when you have, people in your life that kind of like you feel like being put down, it's not a good feeling. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it can bring don't get me wrong. Everything you've gone through has made you who you are today. So, I mean, family prepares you for the world, like good or bad. You know what I mean? It prepares you in a sense like this is what life is, because everybody you meet is a part of somebody's family. You know what I mean? And once you take the labels off, and that's like that's my cousin, that's my brother, that's my sister, that's my mom, that's my dad. Remove them fucking labels, and then assess how one treats one another, and ask yourself, is it healthy? Is it conducive for a healthy relationship? Because when you grow up and you deal with toxicity, it really does make you question some of the relationships that you find yourself in, because you don't know the forest from the trees. And some people, and why I say this makes sense to me but not to others, because some people can perceive this as like you're being weak by sharing what is on your mind, which is still puzzling and to me. But to be able to share such, and not in a sense of like playing a victim, more as a learning tool to for all of us to grow and learn from one another. You know what I'm saying? Because we all come from we all got shit. We all got our shit going on. You know what I'm saying? We all got toxicities. We all have insecurities, and it's all about how we manage them, right? So, I mean, what I'm grateful for, especially like I said, Brene Brown, with the understanding that shame can only hold up in the shadows. It cannot hold up in front of you. So if you talk about whatever it is that you so-called feel ashamed of, it goes away. You know what I mean? For that moment. I mean, don't get me wrong, it might, because if you've been equipped to doing this shit forever, yeah, it's gonna fuck with your head. So you're gonna have to do a constant practice. Everything we learn, we practice. That's what, you know what I'm saying, how Don Miguel Ruiz explains in the 4 Agreements. Everything we learn, how we eat, how we drink, how we talk, how we drive, all that shit had to be practiced in order for us to have it. You know what I'm saying? You're training the subconscious mind. So the subconscious mind, is what happens when we're, it's like autopilot. This is the shit we do automatically without even thinking. Again, in the morning, how some of us, get up for work. It's dead fuck. It's fucking early in the fucking morning. It's like 5 a.m. You ain't even awake, but you know how to get out of bed, make your bed, brush your teeth, get kids ready, and all these other things because your subconscious mind is trained to do so. Now, with you trying to go to a new restaurant or call up a doctor or a dentist, you know what I'm saying, or going to a new spot, that's something you're going to have to practice in order to get down. And that's what we got to do. We got, again, just recognizing toxic patterns, right? And then incorporating healthier ones, and realizing that this is not serve me anymore. And I don't care who it is, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, we all come from situations, but we can grow. And again, unconditional love does not mean unconditional tolerance. So, like, when you are with your people, ask yourself, how do you feel? What type of person are you becoming with the people around you? You know what I mean? Like, does it benefit you? Like, because you're only getting better. You're either improving or you're staying the same. That's it. And so, I mean, if you're stagnant, you know this. I mean, we all know this shit. You know what I'm saying? We may not want to move or whatever because of our fears or, fear of hurting somebody's feelings or whatever that is. But you gotta look at what's best for you, truthfully. I don't care what it is. You gotta truly look out for what's best for you, for your sanity, because you cannot help me if you do not help yourself. That's just what it boils down to. So, so when I share these things, shit like this, then especially from my community that's not really big on mental health and talking about what's going on inside, rather whatever it is, whether it's listen to music, drink, or lash out at one another, you know what I'm saying? It comes out in unhealthy ways. Some can be healthy too. Listening to music isn't bad too. Like some people like to drift away when they go through shit and they listen to music. I'm not implying music is bad. Music is a unhealthy, I would say tactic for dealing with your issues. But being able to learn, once I learned how to talk about this shit, my life changed for the best. I won't even say for the better. It just changed for the best. So, and that's for anybody. So it's very, like I said, I find it to be very free, and I'm gonna continue to do it. I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. So, as far as perceiving somebody as weak or not black or whatever bullshit, like comes up because it frightens you. Because you ain't ever seen no shit just because you've never seen it before doesn't mean that it's something bad, you know what I mean? So that's fear. That's fear talking on one's ego, speaking out. And because there's enough life to go around. If you don't like when something is, what an individual is doing, you can do something else. And I promise you, it won't harm anybody, you know what I mean? But so what's something that makes sense to me but doesn't make sense to others? That my weaknesses are my strength. How does ego get the best of you? Man, there ain't enough time in the day. All right, so I'll start here. My ego gets the best of me when I feel like I haven't done enough to be loved. And that's really what the root of it, you know what I'm saying? That's inner child. That's what the inner child feels. It's because as I know for sure that I don't have to do anything for love. I am love, you know what I'm saying? I'm a walking just realm spirit of love, you know what I'm saying? It's just constantly, and it's all about how you share that with individuals, how you make people feel, when you talk to them, and do they get drained after talking to you, or do they feel energized? You know what I mean? And but I'm my biggest critic, and I was trained this way. I was trained to always point out my flaws and focus on my flaws, and the reason why I was trained that way, because that individual was trained to focus on their flaws and all that shit, and so on and so forth, but to recognize it, to like, it's okay. It's all right to make mistakes. It's okay to not be the best to somebody else, because it's a projection. You got 30 friends, they got 30 different views of you. Trying to measure up to their expectations, you're gonna lose your fucking mind. So just work on being you, you know what I mean? But my ego, because of that neglect, if you will, intentional, unintentional, whatever, neglect, that feeling just stemming from, childhood, it calls for like an mission once you become an adult, that I have to do this in order to receive this this love and feel whole. And it's like looking for a fucking unicorn. You know what I mean? It's something that you're not going to find externally. You know what I mean? It's only going to be found internally. And once we recognize these things, that everything that we're looking for, we already have inside of us, everything changes. And my ego will be like, nah, I gotta get this. The ego believes that you have to get something in order to be loved. You have to achieve this in order to be loved. I gotta get this new hat, man. Then everybody gonna feel me. I gotta get these new shoes, and then I'm gonna have all the ladies. You know what I'm saying? Once I get this car, all this shit. Don't get me wrong, those things are dope. Those things are nice to have and shit like that. But as for that non-material love, which is going to affect you the most in this life while you're on this earth, all of that is inside. An unconditional love that you gotta have for yourself and your mind. Because we battle with ego every day. Every parent has, I'll say this. Parents have ego issues when they feel like they haven't done enough for their kid. And understand this, you're doing the best you can with the knowledge you have. I'll say that again. As a parent, you're doing the best you can with the knowledge you have. Yes, are there better ways of doing what you're doing? Sure. So research them, you know what I'm saying? But give yourself that grace. It's not easy. It ain't easy, but it wasn't supposed to be. You're doing like whatever's been given to you, whatever families we came from, that's what we're doing. Not everybody raises their kids the same way, so you shouldn't judge an individual how they raise their kids. You know what I'm saying? Of course, like if there's something detrimental, if there's something like harmful where you're physically harming a kid, with bruises and shit, yeah, I get that, stepping in and, wanting to remove that child from that. But as for, certain things that you wouldn't allow your kid to do doesn't make me a bad parent because I do it. You know what I mean? And some of us go through that shit. It's just different ways. Like, I believe effectively to talk to kids is to not treat them like, understand that they are kids. They're just younger versions of us. You know what I mean? That are coming up. So what would you need back then? What is it that you needed back then that you didn't have, that you could give to this child, this information? But also understand that they're their own person and they can think, they'll think for themselves. You want a person to feel like it's their idea. You know what I mean? That's the trick, that's the catch. When you talk to people, trying to tell somebody what to do, they're more inclined to be defensive and not do it. Like, you should go to the gym. I ain't going no goddamn gym now. But if you word it, if you get tactful and you learn how to word something to where you can make going to the gyms, present it as something that's beneficial for them, then they'll be more inclined to go to the gym, they'll inspire themselves. But but the ego, and I say all that to say, being a parent, we beat ourselves up a lot of times. Like, are we doing our best with this shit? And we're just doing the best we can. Could we learn? And what we really need to do is suppress that ego when it comes to learning something new. And that's where my ego would come into play, because there was a point in time where I thought I knew everything. My cup was full when I came to a conversation. I would not take on, no matter what you said, it's right and wrong. You know what I mean? I was having right and wrong conversations. And what I've learned is that people who have right and wrong conversations, the conversation ends once the point is made. But when we just speak from perspective, the conversation progresses, and it goes on, and it goes on, and it goes on. And that's something and that's when I feel like the ego is suppressed. Because the ego has it's start and finish with the ego. The soul just does, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you operate in your soul, it just does, it's just love, you know what I'm saying? It's like keep pushing out love. But the ego getting the best of me, where I don't let go of past mistakes. I cling on to that shit. And it's attachment. It's attachment because you feel like you had to, because you interpreted what was being done around you, that you had to be perfect in order to be loved. So if you have mistakes, there's no way you can be loved. So just imagine that run. It's like a dog chasing its tail, you know what I'm saying? and you just keep going around and around with it, instead of, learning to embrace the angel of death. And the angel of death is there so that you can move on, that you can live in the present. You dead, what has happened, it's done. You know what I'm saying? So you just learn to love yourself right then in that present moment. Especially, like I said, always trying to find something to feel complete. Not putting it into drugs, not putting it into porn anymore, not putting it into alcohol or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Whatever vice to escape from dealing with your shit. And it's tough, I won't lie. It's damn sure tough for the ego. The soul just accepts, you know what I'm saying? The ego is like, oh man, we gotta do this. Man, they ain't gonna feel me like this no more. The ego is all about conditional love. Everything has to deal with, loving with conditions. And that's the unfortunate part. Like, looking for unconditional love with a bag of conditions on the way. And like I said, I believe we're all guilty of it. You know what I'm saying? And some would protest the fact that, there is no unconditional love. And I can respect that. I mean, for me, that's what I just strive to live for. Anything I do is because I want to do it, not because somebody made me do it. I do my best to not do that, because I was raised as a people pleaser, if you will. So to now learn how to manage those thoughts, those feelings, it's been helpful. And that ego, ego getting the best of me, where it means that if I don't, again, that people pleasing. If I don't do this, then that love will be removed from me. You know what I mean? So I'm not in control of, in those moments, I'm not in control of my life. The people that I feel control the love that I gave power to, because I gave them that. I gave people that power. You know what I'm saying? Because I already have all the love I need inside. You know what I'm saying? When you raise, like I said, when you're just constantly chasing attention, it's not even love you're chasing. You're chasing attention. And somehow we were taught as a kid that attention means love. So when someone doesn't give you attention, you feel unlovable. And that is not the case. You already have it. It's really just changing your perspective on shit. There's things we don't really think about. But thankfully, to like folks like Don Miguel Ruiz and Brene Brown, Jay Shetty, Jordan Peterson, Les Brown, Tony Robbins. Who else am I forgetting? Jocko Willink, Joe Rogan sometimes. Like the most unlikely sources. You know what I mean? Your friends. Let's do that. I'm not gonna just talk about like celebrities and shit like that. I'll talk about my friends that have shared things with me about themselves. I've learned from them. Family members, I've learned from them. Co-workers, whatever it is, somebody always got something they can teach. That's why when you in conversation with people, you need to listen and assume that they know something that you don't. You know what I mean? And if you do that, conversations just expound. You feel me? And information, knowledge is power. So that's how we learn. You know what I'm saying? That's it. But like those things, they sit with us. And the ego, when you're by yourself, the ego fucks with you and tries to tell you that you ain't shit, right? And if you if it works, you'll listen. But once you understand you're not your thoughts, you're not your emotions. You're controlling everything. You're pretty much the brain. You are the person behind the curtain. You know what I'm saying? You're the wizard, Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. You are the person behind the curtain that is controlling everything that's going on. Everything you're doing is by choice. But you have also trained your subconscious mind over time. So it's like learning to incorporate new things for yourself, for your mind. Going for days about that. So I guess that's pretty much what I got for now, for the ego getting the best of that.